Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about all my new holy grails. So these are all items that I've discovered in the year of 2022. Instead of doing a mid-year favorite video, I thought I would talk about products that have actually become holy grail products. So while I was going through all my favorite products of 2022 so far, I noticed that all the ones that I'm mentioning have become holy grail products. So they have replaced favorite products that were once holy grails in my collection. So I just thought that I would mention that today. Before I get started on this video, don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Like this video if you like it. And let's just get straight into it. So I'm going to start off with face products first. So I actually don't have a new favorite primer. So I'm just going to move right along to foundation. So my new holy grail foundation, and this is something that I discovered in 2022. And I am so glad I picked it up because originally I wasn't even going to pick it up. I hadn't heard anyone talk about it. This was a foundation that had been released for about, I want to say like 3 or 4 months. I hadn't seen any reviews on it. And then I brought it up on my community page asking if you guys would want a review on it. And so many of you said yes. And I decided to just pick it up anyways. And I am so happy I did because this has become my #1 foundation of all time. I actually have a backup of it because I am almost done with my current one and I just need to have this foundation in my collection at all times. And I haven't even said the name of this foundation. This is the Dior Capture Totale Super Potent Serum Foundation in the shade 3N. This foundation is just everything that I want in a foundation. It has great coverage, but it doesn't have too much coverage. I would say it's actually like a light buildable to medium coverage, and that's kind of my perfect foundation because on a daily basis, I like something that has the capabilities of being built up to a medium coverage. Just in case I have a little bit more going on with my skin, if I'm really tired, then I like something that can perform really well. So that is kind of a requirement for me, that I can get a light coverage out of it, but I can also build it up. I don't want to be able to build it up to full coverage. That's maybe a little bit too much coverage for me because then I would just go in with a spot concealer. But I like something that can be built up to medium coverage, but it can be built up without looking heavy on the skin. And this foundation does this, just that. This looks super natural on the skin. It really has that skin-like effect to it. It has enough, it's like the perfect Goldilocks foundation. It isn't too dewy, but it's not too matte either. It's that perfect in between where it gives your skin a really beautiful glow, but it's never going to look too dewy on the skin. I don't like foundations that look, I like something that gives me a bit of a glow, but it's not too dewy because I find if foundations are too dewy on the skin, then they can kind of highlight imperfections and any texture on the skin. And I like everything to be really blurred on the skin. And this foundation is the best blurring foundation that I have ever experienced. It blurs imperfections and texture if you have that on your skin. It goes over top of your skin so beautifully. And if you struggle with your pores in the front of your face, and maybe you find that you need to go in with a primer beforehand to get rid of that appearance, you don't need to do that with this foundation because this just is so smoothing on the skin. This is just such a beautiful skin enhancing foundation. If I were to compare it to any foundation, because I know a lot of people like to hear about comparisons, I would say this is the most similar to the Chanel Sublimage L'Essence Détente, which was my previous Holy Grail foundation. The Chanel Sublimage L'Essence Détente has a little bit less coverage and has a bit more of a glow to it, but they are very similar. I would just say this one has a teeny bit more coverage and is a bit more velvet on the skin than the Chanel Sublimage. But this is incredibly long lasting. This lasts through my whole workday. This lasts if I'm going to any event in the evening time. This is just the best foundation on the market. You can't convince me otherwise because I just love this foundation so much. And then moving on to concealer, I have also found a new Holy Grail concealer. And that is, and this is for under eyes, by the way. This is the Sisley Phyto-Eclat Eye Concealer with Botanical Extracts. Did I say it was by Sisley? If not, it's the Sisley concealer. And I picked mine up in the shade #2. Now, this is a very pricey concealer, but a little bit goes a really long way. I will say you just need a tiny bit of this concealer because it is a bit of a fuller coverage. If you go in with too much product on the under eyes, it will look makeup-y under the eyes. But if you just go in with a little bit of product, it just sits on the under eyes so beautifully. It doesn't sit into any lines or texture on your under eyes. It gives that really smooth appearance on your under eyes, which I think is really important, especially for your under eye area where makeup can look very obvious in that area on your face just because the skin on your under eyes is very thin. So if you apply too much makeup there, or if you even apply makeup there, it can just start to get makeup-y quickly, and you can just really notice product in that area. With this concealer, it just sits so beautifully on the under eyes. It is so smoothing. It is a very long-lasting concealer, and I really love that I don't require powdering this concealer. If I want something a bit more perfecting looking, then yes, I can go over top with a powder just to get that more perfected look. But for an everyday basis, you just need a little bit of this concealer and you are good to go. And then I also want to mention the Éclat Peau concealer. So this is the concealer stick, basically. I have almost run through this whole thing, but this isn't the new formulation. I will be picking up the new formula, but I just tried out this concealer. I actually had tried this out previously and I went through it and I never repurchased it, but that was because I had been using it on my under eyes and I do not like this concealer for my under eyes. But I noted in my community page, I have been going through some health issues, and because of those health issues, my skin has just not been that great. Whenever you have something going on with your health, it tends to reflect on your skin. And because of that, I have been struggling a little bit with my skin, which is very frustrating. But this has been a saving grace. If you use this concealer in any areas of pigmentation or if you have any breakouts, this is just such a flawless concealer. Sometimes I have an issue with concealers that are meant for your face because they can really pick up on texture. Like if you layer on that product, it just looks thick on the skin and it looks heavy and it looks cakey. And then it almost makes that pigmentation and that texture look worse because it just stands out so much because you've applied too much product, if that makes sense. Again, it kind of goes back to that, it looks cakey on the skin. It just looks heavy, which makes that area stand out more. Now, of course, with a product like this, I still don't recommend that you go in with so much product that it's going to look heavy. But if you just apply a thin layer of this concealer, it gives great coverage and looks really skin-like. It is so beautiful and it glides onto the skin really easily and it buffs into the skin really easily, which I think is very important when you are looking for a facial concealer. But this is just a Holy Grail facial concealer. So under eye concealer, Holy Grail facial concealer. For me, I need two separate concealers for those areas, but those are fantastic. And then let's move on to powder. So I don't have any new pressed powders. The Éclat Peau pressed powder I always talk about, that's something I discovered in 2021. But I did discover a new loose powder, and this is the Rodial Glass Powder Loose Setting Powder. So this has been something that I've been really wanting to try for a really long time. There are a few UK beauty YouTubers, or they're more like lifestyle YouTubers, I guess, who talk about this powder and it being so amazing. But it was always sold out, and it's really hard to find in Canada. I think Look Fantastic is the only site I could find it available in Canada. But anyways, I was finally able to get my hands on it. And this powder is so beautiful. Normally with a loose setting powder, I have troubles with them because I find that they're a little finicky to apply just because you do have the tendency where it can be a little harder to get just a bit of product. Sometimes you can over apply a loose powder. Sometimes I find that they look a little bit heavy. This powder never does. This is such a beautiful blurring powder. If you are someone who suffers from texture on your skin, or again, how I always really like the front of my face, especially right here, I like that area of my face to be matte, and I like that to look really smooth. I don't mind if I have a little bit of glow on like my cheekbones and stuff like that, but I really like this area of my face to look really smooth and just kind of poreless and textureless. And this powder will do just that. If you have any areas of texture, you just take my favorite brush for using on the face is this Wayne Goss brush, number 2 brush. But just a brush kind of like this that's a little dense and really small where I can get really precise, because with the loose powder, I like, or any powder in general, I'm pretty much a precise applier. I don't like to apply product with a huge brush because I don't need powder everywhere. I just need powder in specific areas. So for me, if I apply this powder specifically just to the front of my face here, and then if I am suffering from any breakouts or anything or any texture, you can just apply it in that area. And this completely just smooths everything out. It looks so flawless on your under eyes if you choose to apply it on your under eyes or in the front of your face. This is the only loose powder I have had success with. While this does mattify and blur and perfect your skin, it doesn't completely mattify where your skin looks dull and dry and lifeless. this still gives you life to your skin, and this is just absolutely phenomenal. This is beautiful. And then I'm going to move on to bronzer. So I have found a new holy grail bronzer, and I am very, very surprised. This is the Guerlain Terracotta Light Bronzer in the shade 03 Medium Warm. And I'm surprised about this, not because I don't love Guerlain bronzers. Actually, Guerlain bronzers are some of my favorite in my collection. If you saw my favorite luxury bronzers, you will see I mentioned both this one and another one. But this is a bronzer that I tried this year. This is a reformulation of their other Healthy Glow bronzer, which wasn't my favorite just because I felt like that one you could see the shimmer sitting on top of your skin. With this one, while this does have a sheen, you can't detect shimmer particles sitting on top of your skin. And I say that I'm surprised I like this bronzer because this is supposed to be a healthy glow bronzer that has a mixture of a blush, a highlighter, and a bronzer in it. And I just thought that wouldn't be really flattering to apply as a bronzer on the skin. So if you can see, that is a little bit of a swatch there. You can see this is a very warm toned bronzer. It doesn't go orangey on the skin, but it has a bit of a peachy tone to it. But for some reason, when I apply it on the skin, I just think it is the most flattering bronzer that I have ever experienced. There's something about this peachy tone in this bronzer that is incredibly flattering on my skin. I think it brings a very youthful component back to your makeup. It just gives this brightness to your skin. It brings this youthfulness back to your skin. It makes you look like you have a really nice glow. I think but with this just gives you such a youthful brightness, a beautiful, healthy glow, but without those shimmer particles. Like I said, I can't detect any shimmer particles sitting on the skin. Another reason why I really like Guerlain bronzers is because they offer them in not just a light, medium, dark. They have different undertone options. So if you are a cool tone, you can get a cool tone bronzer. So they offer these in light, medium, and dark, but you have cool, so there would be like a light cool and also a light warm, a medium cool, a medium warm, so on and so forth. So you can pick your perfect undertone and color for you. So I just think that is so amazing that Guerlain does that with all their bronzers. And for me, the medium warm is kind of my perfect shade. But this is a bronzer that I can put on with just like a tinted moisturizer. And I don't require a highlighter or a blush over top because it's kind of an all-in-one bronzer. So this is really fantastic if you want to be more efficient with your makeup routine and you just want to put something on really fast. I like that about this bronzer as well is that if I do want to be time efficient, I don't require any other products when I use this bronzer. It's just so flattering on the skin. Moving on to blush. This is a blush. I still need to get the case. I think it is actually back in stock in Canada, so I will have to pick that up. But this is the Peau Blush Duo, and this is the shade number 105. I believe the color is called Maple Leaf. It is the most beautiful blush duo that I have ever experienced, and I am mostly talking about, while the color selection is also beautiful, this formula from Peau is superb. When you feel these powders, they feel creamy. They almost feel like a fabric. They are incredibly finely milled. They are so smooth and they're just so buttery and finely milled. It's insane. There's a little bit of a swatch. They're not a heavy swatch by any means. So we have that lighter peachy shade here. It almost has a bit of an apricot tone to it. So I find that it's really beautiful on the skin because it's quite brightening and just adds a youthful glow. And then we have this kind of terracotta shade. It's so beautiful. It's like a terracotta shade, but it has a hint of pink in it. And I just think it is the most beautiful. It's like almost like a sunburnt kind of shade that I think is incredibly flattering. So what I like to do is I'll either mix these two together or I'll apply this kind of as a base. And then I'll go over top with this kind of peachier shade just as a pop of color just right on the kind of apples of my cheeks, because this shade has a bit more of a glow than this shade here. And just the color combination together is incredibly flattering. It just makes your cheeks glow, but without emphasizing texture, because while this does have a bit of a sheen, there are no detectable shimmer particles. There's no intermittent shimmers, so you're not going to see shimmer on your cheeks. Another problem when you have a glowy blush is sometimes it can actually emphasize texture, but this doesn't. This blurs the skin. This will look completely blurred on the skin. It is almost as if you've applied a cream product to the skin for how it just melts into your skin beautifully. This is just such a seamless blush. I haven't really experienced, I'm trying to think of a formula similar. I'd say that the new Tom Ford Shade and Illuminate Duos I think that's what they're called, those new blush duos. The formula is very similar, but I think this one is even better for blurring the skin out. And it also is just even more finely milled and is just so beautiful. Really, really love this formula. And then for Holy Grail highlighters, I am shocked that I actually have two to mention, because I'm someone who's, if I'm to skip anything in my makeup, like as I'm applying it, it would be highlighter. What I look for in a highlighter is, I actually prefer a powder highlighter, but I like powder highlighters that are a big chalet because that means they're gonna melt into the skin. So two highlighters I have to mention. This is the Chanel Reve de Camelia Illuminating Powder. This is what I'm wearing on my cheeks right now. And this is so, so stunning. So I first want to thank Diana, who is one of my subscribers, so much, because she actually went out of her way and sent this to me. And I could not be more thankful, because it actually sold out in Canada like so fast. So I wasn't able to get my hands on it. And she offered to send this to me. This was the most beautiful gift, so I really appreciate that. And this has become my Holy Grail highlighter, especially for daytime, because it is so flattering on the skin. Truly, like I'm just looking at it on my cheeks and it just melts right in. It does not look like I've applied a highlighter, and that is my favorite thing about it, because it just gives you the most sophisticated, beautiful, subtle glow, where people are going to look at your skin and they're not going to be like, oh, I like your highlighter, what are you wearing? They're going to say, your skin looks really beautiful, it looks like you have a healthy glow. And that is what I love in a highlighter, especially in the daytime. I especially love this because I'm like very picky with makeup, so I like to actually detect how my skin looks outside, like in nature, because that is where makeup can either look like really terrible when you're out in actual outdoor settings. But this highlighter looks so smooth, it looks so skin-like, it does not emphasize any texture on the skin. It really just enhances your skin, makes your skin look better, and it's so beautiful. So this gives just an ever so soft glow. It is not too intense at all, and you get no intermittent shimmer, so the shimmers are all very smooth and continuous and just look absolutely beautiful on the skin. And it's just such a beautiful champagne shade that I think is just very flattering. And then if I want something a little bit more intense, like say I'm going out for dinner, or I have like evening plans or something like that, this Hermes Permabrass highlighter is so, so beautiful as well. Again, this is a big chalet formula, so it's going to melt into the skin really beautifully, make it look as if you've applied a cream highlighter, but you get that ease of application with the powder. So I don't even know if you can see it there, but it's a bit more yellow toned than the Chanel highlighter, but it also is a little bit more intense. So it gives me a bit more of a glow, and because it's a bit more intense, I prefer it for the evening time, just because I think in the daylight, like if I am going outdoors, it's just a little bit, I don't want to say it's noticeable on the skin, but it just is a bit more intense on the skin because the glow is just a bit more noticeable. But the shimmer in this is very continuous as well. There's no intermittent shimmer, so it's not going to, like, you're not going to see actual shimmer particles on the skin, which is a deal breaker for me with a highlighter. So again, very sophisticated highlighter. It just has a bit more glow than that Chanel highlighter, but this has become kind of my evening out Holy Grail highlighter. It is phenomenal. And then let's move on to the eyes. So the first product I actually want to mention is something that is now out of stock. I actually bought a backup of this, but this is the Chanel Mediterraneen 747 eyeshadow palette. I want to quickly mention this. I'm not going to harp on this, but this was a Holy Grail palette for me. This is something I use on a weekly basis. I've hit pan on this shade. I bought a backup. Beautiful big gelée formula. It's amazing. I still absolutely love it. So I just want you to know that I'm still loving that palette. But my new Holy Grail palette, this goes for daytime, for nighttime, for any occasion. This has replaced my Tom Ford Suspicion palette, which was my Holy Grail eyeshadow palette previously. This is the new Tom Ford Tiger Eye palette. So this is their new color. This is their Eye Color Quad Creme. So these are the cream to powder formulas. I love, love, love not only this formula, but this whole color story. This is so my vibes. I am someone who likes neutral tones. I like makeup that doesn't stand out too much. I like that kind of natural glam look. I am someone who works an office job, so I do not want my makeup to be over the top or stand out. That is just a personal preference. Of course, everyone is different, and that's just my preference. But I love this neutral color story. These are all my perfect shades. They are leaning warm, but they're not too warm where they look orangey on the eyes. They are just so sophisticated and elegant. This is just soft glam, and I feel like Tom Ford does soft glam so well, so beautifully. I really love this formula as well because you get really nice color payoff, but it's not too intense where it's hard to work with. Like some other, like that's a very soft swatch, and you can see they're just very soft colors, but they are incredibly buildable as well because of that creamy formula. So you can go in with a kind of heavier hand and get more pigmentation, but because they're that cream formula, that's that cream to powder, they are so easy to blend. I would recommend this for beginners, and obviously if you're more advanced, you could use them as well. This is something that would look beautiful on mature eyes. This is a palette I also recommended to my mom, and she picked it up, and she is also loving it. She said that it's really easy to use, really easy to blend, and is very flattering on her mature eyes as well. So I just think this is one of the most beautiful palettes that I have in my collection. So for me, this was worth the splurge. This is a Holy Grail eyeshadow palette that I can't get enough of. And then I actually have a new Holy Grail eyeliner. Now, eyeliner is something that I am super picky about, and I've never really had a Holy Grail liner because I like liners for different things. So for a waterline liner, I am incredibly picky about. The Sisley eyeliner is the only one that I have found that I like. But for my upper lash line, I like something that I am able to smudge out with. I don't really like applying liners to my waterline, but this is my new favorite eyeliner specifically for smudging on the top lash line. Now, this is kind of a kohl pencil, so it is going to smudge a little bit, but I really like this formula. So this is the Hindash Eye Tone Pencil in the shade Intra. And this is just a beautiful, it's a brown shade, but it has a hint of red to it. So that little bit of warmth, this just brings something special to this eyeliner. And what I really like about this is that this is so easy to work with. Now, I know a lot of people love the Victoria Beckham eyeliners. I don't think those are easy to work with. I would not recommend those to beginners or anyone that has mature eyes because they're so creamy. They're just really hard to control. With this eyeliner, while it is creamy, it's not too creamy where I feel like I have no control out of it. And I also am really able to easily smudge this eyeliner out. I have time to work with it, but it just smudges beautifully. This will suit any eye tone because it does have that hint of red to it. So if you have brown eyes, it's going to bring out that warmth in your brown eyes and look beautiful. If you have blue eyes, the warmth again will bring out the blue tones. And then if you have green eyes, again, the red kind of warmth in this eyeliner will bring out those green tones in your eyes. Incredibly flattering. Super easy to work with. It just smudges really beautifully. It wears really beautifully. And then I just have one more Holy Grail product. So we are moving on to lips. This new Sisley, these are the Phyto-Rouge Shine lipsticks. I have mine in the shade Sheer Petal and also Sheer Nude. Sheer Nude is my favorite color, but this formula is everything. It is beautiful. You can't even see that. I don't know why I'm even swatching it. Basically, it's a nude shade. So it's basically a nude lipstick with a hint of shimmer to it, and this is so flattering on the lips. Now, if I was to compare it to any formula, I would say it's very similar to the Chanel Rouge Coco Flashes, but I like this better because it almost has a bit more of a waxier feeling to it, so it sticks on the lips a little better. The Chanel Rouge Coco Flashes are almost oilier. Not that that bugs me because those were previously my Holy Grail lip products. They never like leave your lip line or anything. Like they never go outside the lip line. They're not that oily, but they're so comfortable. But this just beats them ever so slightly because this product is just a little bit longer lasting and it just adheres to my lips a little better. But you still get that really comfortable effect where it feels so nice on your lips. It just feels so comfortable. I love applying this. Every time I apply this, I think my lips look better. It gives me that kind of like plumping effect where my lips just look so good. And they look plumped and beautiful and luscious and sophisticated and everything I love about a lip product. If you haven't tried these out, you have to try it out, especially this shade Sheer Nude. I think it's the shade number 11. This is perfection. It is so beautiful. Really, really recommend these lip products. But that is it for all my Holy Grail products of 2022 so far. I quickly want to say thank you so much for all your comments on my community page where I said I was going to be taking a bit of a break. I've been going through some health issues, so really appreciate your well wishes. I am going to be trying to upload once a week, but videos may be a bit more sporadic for the next few months while I am going through everything. But I just want to thank you so much for all your well wishes. It really meant a lot to me, and just all of you are so kind and sweet, and I appreciate you. so much and I appreciate your support. So I just wanted to say thank you for that. But thank you so much for watching this video. I would love to know if you have discovered any new holy grails in 2022 so far. Although I am on a low buy, I still feel like I picked up products that spoke to me and that would add value to my collection instead of just adding like so much makeup that I don't know what to do with. All my picks that I have mentioned have added value to my collection, and I would just highly recommend them. So I'd love to know if you have any products that you would like me to try out that you've picked up this year that you are loving and they are new holy grails. So that is it for this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Like this video if you like it, and I'll see you in my next video.